Live, I think. Cool. All right. So, it's been 2 weeks since we did one of these. I'm vaguely trying to remember what we did last time. Ask everybody if they have any comments first and foremost about the last 2 weeks, how they feel about it, and also in particular how you feel about continuing to do these sort of 2-week blocks. And I'll do it again in alphabetical order since it's just the four of us.
Okay, that's me then. Pretty much the same as last time. I mean, it's this time I was working mainly on documentation anyway, so that's kind of, it's just not quite the same as having an actual issue to tie things together with, but testing and documentation, it's gone fine. It just needs some fleshing out. Get that man David B there to help on that, I think.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, no, it's gone by pretty quickly again, and there's been other stuff, of course, like internal stuff.
What do you think about the continuing to do it like this for 2 weeks with a hangout meeting, text meeting, hangout meeting, text meeting?
Yeah, no, I think it's good. Like I think I said before, not on here, it's good, I think, sometimes to have the 2 weeks, and then the second sprint is quite often, I think, a bug fix sprint and tying things up. Hopefully that will become better in time, but it's obviously what we're working on is really difficult to open up such a large part of Ghost, so it's a difficult thing to really ever put a definite deadline on. But even if it was just that 2 weeks initially to focus on tackling a problem and 2 weeks to bug test and try to put a release out, that'll be good, I think.
Kevin?
Okay. Yeah, this sprint's felt a bit less structured, I think, but that's probably because the first week was punctuated by Ember Camp, and then this week I've been struggling a lot with random issues within which I thought were in Ember but weren't. But yeah, overall it's good. I think getting back to a bit more structure will make the next one feel better. But in general, 2 week sprints still very much thumbs up.
Cool. Sebastian?
Yeah, same here. It feels a lot more structured, and you always have this kind of target in your mind that there is not a hard deadline, but there is some kind of a deadline arriving, and you should get your stuff done before that point in time. So I would really, really like to keep it.
Cool. Okay. I'm going to keep asking that question because I think we're going to keep learning as we keep doing it. I mean, we've only done 2. The first one was a lot more structured, the second one a lot less structured. I think it's good to play around and see what feels comfortable and what doesn't. Personally, I really enjoy having like that end point in order to, and a fixed idea of what I should have achieved in order to hold myself accountable. And we all have other responsibilities that come along and take us off track, or things happen and we don't manage to get that work that we intended to do done. But it just gives us a little moment to sort of, even just privately, sort of pause and reflect on why things didn't get done and whether or not you could have foreseen that or not, and usually not. But just how you can go about committing to a more reasonable target for yourself the next time. So for me, it's just about not sort of ending up being 3 months later and not really understanding or having any idea what I've done for the last 3 months. Because obviously stuff gets done, but you don't really have any sort of opportunity to really reflect on what we've achieved. It just feels like there's endless stuff to do, and we just do endless stuff. So yeah, I'm really enjoying doing them as well, and I would agree that the last one was a lot less structured, and it didn't feel quite as nice to do as the one did before. And I think that was always going to be the case. We knew that because when we sort of had this meeting 2 weeks ago, we realised that there was just bundles of stuff happening, conferences and things, that just meant we weren't going to be able to sit down and focus. And I think those things have a bigger impact than even you realise, because there's always the travel day and then the preparation day and then the day thinking about the preparation day that sort of eat into your time without you realizing it does affect that you can't get into a rhythm and stuff. So I definitely didn't get into a rhythm at all this sprint. And the stuff that I'm working on is still effectively the stuff I planned to be working on at the beginning of the last sprint. And it isn't that I haven't made any progress, I just haven't had enough time to make enough progress to like have anything to sort of tick off, which is really frustrating. Like, it's so frustrating.
Yeah, my sprint is a little bit mixed up because what I was planning to do is a lot of refactoring, and then yeah, it kind of changed direction as soon as we found the authentication bugs. So yeah, but then having the deadline at the 2 weeks to try and get things in place before then, that would definitely help.
Yep, yeah, I agree. I had a similar sort of thing. The stuff that I planned to work on seemed like they were straightforward tasks to me at the beginning of the sprint, and I just keep running into bugs with my own code. Which probably means I should do my job better. So yeah, I've spent like all of this week has just been bashing my head on the same issue. I have been for several days, like just struggling with code. It's just really hard. So yeah, progress minimal. So David kind of went through and did everybody else. Did you have anything you wanted to add about the sprint process or anything you wanted to talk about in terms of what has happened? David B, sorry, I should be more specific.
Oh. Sorry. I mean, from what I've seen, it seems like this sprint planning is working well. I think doing the text meeting every other week is nice, just because I think people get kind of sick of it, and because I mean, for a long time, it's like, you know, only 2 or 3 of us like talking back and forth, and usually the 2 or 3 people talking know what's going on. So I definitely think that it's kind of a nice break for everyone, including you guys. So I definitely think it's working well, and I think you can see in the number of like PRs and commits and stuff that come through that there's definitely more progress being made.
Cool. Yep. So the one thing that I don't do for this meeting as well as you do for the other meeting is prepare like a list of what actually got done. So it's quite good to actually go back and see what got done in those meetings, because this is much less structured in terms of what got done. It's much more in terms of, do we feel like it worked, rather than look at all these things we did. As I don't think it's as helpful for me to reel off a list of pull requests verbally as it can be
for sure.
listed. So what we have done in the last 2 weeks is we've gotten several bits of the public API release wrapped up, polished up, things like getting stuff behind Labs flag. There's a lot of documentation work that's happened, and then there's been some stuff on the Ember side that's been different, which is stuff that Kevin's been working on, and Sebastian's been working mostly internally. So that's why progress is slower than when you have all of us full steam working on issues, as when we're split a little bit more across internal issues and public. And I think the next 2 weeks, the plan is for me to wrap up the final permissions issues that we've got with the current API so that we can release that. There's still the matter of getting a helper done, outstanding, which I will pick up if it doesn't get done before I get to it. And then there will be a release. So I will be working on the API code. So that is finishing up the final bits and pieces that are outstanding in the the public API sprint epic issue, which I posted into Slack. So there's 3 things, or a few things left in there that we need to wrap up. Mostly documentation, the helper, and a couple of bugs that I'm working on. So if we can wrap those up, that's the public API stuff finished. We also need to get the bugs in Ember auth wrapped up as well in order to do a release, because those are pretty hairy regressions. So it's not really...
I've submitted a PR with those fixes then.
Cool, okay. They're not, so they're pull requested, but they're not merged, but that's because I haven't merged them yet. David is wrapping up the documentation items, so that covers everything for the sprint. So that's like the next couple of days, or from last sprint, sort of clean up, finish up, get it wrapped up, and hopefully get a release out. After that, or in addition to that, for the next 2 weeks, as far as I understand it, the plan is that Kevin wants to do a bunch of refactoring.
Yep.
Sebastian's working internally, and David is also working internally. And I will be working on any admins or back-end side of the work that Kevin is working on. So, for example, there's some stuff to do with API errors that might need doing. I'm not sure if we need to polish up the endpoints for that, or the results from the API for that as well. So I'll just sort of be hanging around doing the server-side stuff of that, doing any API improvements that come out of feedback, and otherwise just sort of going around trying to see if we can get some feedback on the tools that we release. And I think that's more than enough for the next sprint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close, or work to close, the existing sprint epic, and I'm going to get everyone that is working publicly to bring their new stuff into a new sprint epic so that we've got more structure again this time, because I think that really helps.
Yep.
So, Kevin, do you want to talk more about the stuff that you're planning to do in the next 2 weeks?
Okay. So
that was a genuine question. You could say no.
Yeah, no, that's fine. The first thing is to go over the acceptance tests and just put in a basic file for each of them, so that it's easier for other people to jump in and start on those. Then the main thing will be refactoring our handling of modals, because there's lots of weird edge cases where we can't do validation and things like that properly. So changing the flow of those so that we can do that. And then updating the save buttons so that we can actually show the status of what happens when you save something, instead of just having a tiny little notification in the bottom corner. They're the main things.
Cool.
There's one other thing. Austin, I'd like to go over the Ember 2.1 PR so that we can get that ready for after we've made a release, so we can get it in at the beginning of the next sprint.
Yeah, once the release happens, I'll refactor, I'll rebase that and get it updated.
Cool.
Great. So, I'm just looking at issues so that I can actually just put them all into an epic whilst we're in the meeting right now. So we have the modals refactor is 5798.
Yep.
I'll put that one in there.
I have a question actually.
Cool, go for it while I'm doing this.
It's about the whatever we're going to call it, but if we're going to call it the Ajax helper or whatever. And also know Austin was looking at that at one point. I don't know how far I've gone into that, but is that going to go behind the labs flags as well?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
You basically won't get access to any of that stuff if you don't have the labs flag ticked and an active front-end client, which you can't have an inactive front-end client unless you've doctored your database at the moment, because there's no user interface for it. But basically those are the two things that need to be true, and then in the future we will take the labs flag away, but we will then have a user interface for the public clients so that you can actually enable and disable it that way. It will be enabled by default, but it will be disableable, which should give people lots of comfort.
About that, did somebody pick up that Git helper? If not, I will make time to do it tonight.
No, nobody has looked at it yet, and I would love to see just like the bare bones of it put together. Would be great.
Okay, I will make time to do that tonight.
Yeah. Even if you just make a start and it's something that I can pick up on, that would be fantastic. Even if it doesn't get all of the rough edges wrapped up, then I can do that. Yeah.
Cool.
That'll be really helpful. So I am raising a new issue for the epic, if my computer lets me. And so the first thing in it is to wrap up the existing epic. I've got the modals refactor.
Yep.
And then I think there's other issues that you've got open for your stuff, haven't you, Kevin?
Yeah. For the acceptance test, it's 6039.
6039. Cool.
And for the save buttons, it's 5719.
5719.
Also, something to keep in mind, I don't know if Kevin, you've been following, Ember CLI is or CLI is soon, hopefully, going to be updating to 2.0.
Yeah, there's a lot of speed improvements in that. That's probably
Yeah.
something I'll be looking at if it's to go in with the 2.1 upgrade, if it's ready in time.
Okay. Do you want me to put that, if it happens, do you want me to put that in the same thing, or are you going to take...
We'll probably keep those two separate.
Okay.
Cool. So I have... I'm going to put people's names on this as well. So I've only got your stuff in it so far, Kevin. I'll raise it like this and then put my stuff in it as well, because I'm not sure which issues I'm going to be able to get to. This for a second. Actually, I should just pull them out, shouldn't I? Oh, the public API. So, anyone got any other questions? No, silence. That makes it a pretty short meeting.
That's the other one. The exports throwing access denied. Austin, did you have a look at that in the end?
I haven't had a look at it yet, but I can also take some time and look at it tonight if you want.
I guess that this is not really hard to fix, because I think that it is only missing either the client ID or the client secret.
And I'm pretty sure that happened when it got pipeline, when the pipeline refactor was applied to it, because most of the endpoints use the header to get the token, and it's passed through in the get query params instead of the...
Yeah.
So I can take a look at it. It shouldn't be too hard to fix.
Yep. Is it marked?
That would be awesome.
Is it marked as a blocker?
It's not marked as a blocker at the moment.
Oh, should do that. Right, let's mark that as a blocker.
Cool.
And so I've got the Epic issue open, which is 6062. We are blazing through issue numbers at the moment. What is going on? Cool, okay. In that case, I'm going to pretty much declare this finished, unless anybody else has anything else they do want to talk about or say or ask about. No? Cool, okay, then all of the remaining stuff about what we've talked about is all in the issue that I've been writing while I'm talking. And that should keep things clear for this sprint a little bit more, how we're going, how we're doing, hopefully. Yeah? Cool, great. Okay, well, that keeps that nice and short. Brilliant, thanks for turning up. And Austin, if you have any questions about the API helper thingy at any point this evening, just give me a ping. Cool, thumbs up. I love the thumbs up from everybody, that's always great. I'm muted, but I can still comment. Right, see you all next week, I guess, in the talky one.
Well, have a good week, everyone.
Yes.
Right.
See you guys.